Ladies and gentlemen, I've had 12 years of ups and downs in the final expense sales and agency building business, and what I'd like to do in this video is give you my 12 tips, and maybe a bonus tip too, on what it takes to be successful in selling final expense and the lessons I have learned. My name is David DuFord. I own DuFord Insurance Group. We train agents nationally to sell final expense over the phone or in person. What sets us apart from the competition is one-on-one mentorship, coaching, and our make money guarantee. Go ahead and visit davidduford.com/FAQ right now if you'd like to learn more about joining and applying to join our agency. So let's get right into these points of experience and tips based off of my 12 plus years in the final expense business. The purpose of this, of course, is to help you get perspective and wisdom, because this business is fantastic and too many agents fail out of it, 90% plus in their first year. And if anything, you want to know what things you can do to avoid failure, which is so common, so you can have a chance of long-term success, freedom, and autonomy that this business provides, and good money too. So number one, truly, this business ultimately boils down to the fundamentals. It's all about being consistent in the execution of the fundamentals. And this is kind of like that overarching umbrella over everything else I'm going to say. Everything else I'm going to say is kind of a reflection of that on a micro scale. But this business is not hard, or I should say, excuse me, it's not easy, but it is simple. And when we say simple is, hey, if you come into this business and you execute on the fundamentals daily for years, you probably are going to be very successful. And then as years progress, very, very successful compared to everybody else. And truly the magic in this business is applying yourself to that daily execution of the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals, you ask? Of course, they are, number one, putting the work in, seeing the people, doing lots of presentations, getting high quality leads, working with great carriers, and running that system consistently week over week, year over year. Number two is that direct mail is still king for face-to-face agents. Again, there are other lead systems out there, and we use some of them at the DuFord Insurance Group, including good quality Facebook leads. But direct mail is still king. Even though the prices have gone up, people's household incomes have risen up because of inflation. And now there's not as many agents using direct mail because the price point's gotten higher, and that's made the business model of direct mail the same, if not better, than it ever has been. So if you're going to sell final expense face-to-face, don't be distracted by the new shiny object syndrome. Once you get up and running, if you say you're not in a position to buy direct mail, get direct mail as soon as possible. There's less agents using direct mail, and agents just write more business more consistently over the long haul and on average. So get direct mail as a face-to-face agent because it makes a great difference. Number three on the list here is telesales is not for the faint of heart. Right now, most of you watching this are probably interested in selling over the phone. We support that at DuFord Insurance Group. We got great mentorship on a one-on-one basis to help coach you. But the thing is this, telesales isn't meant for everybody. I don't care what other influencers say, other agencies say. Not everybody is built for remote sales. Remote sales is very, very simple. Cut off this camera and just listen to me talk. I can't look you in the eyes. I can't read your body language. All you have to depend upon as a telesales remote agent is the words coming out of your mouth and how you perform the script. And a lot of people can't wrap their head around that. And that's why the business of telesales has lower close rates, you need for more leads, and is overall, for the average agent, more frustrating than simple, old-fashioned, in-person, face-to-face sales. My advice to you is this: if you're thinking about final expense from the standpoint of being remote, only do it if you feel in your heart of hearts you're meant for it. Otherwise, stick with the basics. There are a lot more agents who would be successful just going face-to-face that otherwise choose telesales because that's where the trend is. And again, I've got a lot of videos on the subject matter. If you want to pursue that further, just go put some Google searches in on the difference between telesales and face-to-face, and you'll get a little bit more perspective. Number three, I should say number four, treat your clients like your mama. So this is a good rule of thumb. When you sit down with a client, they're usually older. They're street smart, but they're not academically smart. They don't really know much about insurance, and they tend to trust people, and they've been screwed in the past too. So you are in a position of power in many cases with these clients, and with power comes responsibility. You have the potential to put somebody in the wrong plan that's too expensive, that doesn't adequately cover them, or even worse, ends up replacing good coverage for bad. So how do you mitigate this risk? Imagine that every prospect that you see is your father or your mother. How would you sell your mom or your dad knowing that they are your parents And how would that influence you which carriers and products you would select? And I think that kind of mentality is going to help you make the right decisions. Hopefully you love your mom and dad. That's kind of comes presumptively. If you don't listen to this advice. And that should help you with questions about replacing. Should I replace the coverage? Should I do this policy or that? And that kind of mentality is going to help serve you over time to best serve your clients in the best capacity. Number 5 on the list here is the first sale leads to many. One of the things that I always found fascinating in final expense sales, as I look back in my just field days, I wrote approximately 1,500 policies. Again, this is anecdotal. I didn't really do the data, but approximately 1 out of 2 presentations I would run that I closed, they already had coverage. So I either added coverage or, when it was prudent, replaced it and improved the client's coverage. What's the point of this? That means out of 1,500, 750 of those policyholders could have just had their current agents that wrote the original policy add more, but because the agent never followed up, probably failed out of the business because they didn't have great training and a kind of long-term mentality, they missed an opportunity to do more business. So why should you care? Because there's way more money in your clients than that first sale. It might be another final expense sale later. I was talking to another agency owner who's coming on board with us. They cross-sell cancer plans. They're looking at adding Medicare, which is a great cross-sell opportunity. Moral of the story is your business relationship doesn't start and end with one policy sale. Maybe it's more policy sales later, but make sure in the long haul to follow up with your clients. Do an annual review. Ask questions about beneficiary banking information, etc. And the sales opportunities will come out of it either just by adding more coverage or by referring you to their friends and family to help them out too as well. Number 6 is that final expense is a game of singles and doubles. Okay, what do I mean by that? Think about baseball. We can't always hit home runs and grand slams. You got to play the game and win based off of just doing single base runs or doubles, right? And final expense is the same way. You're going to write a lot of smaller policies. They're going to be $40, $50, $60 a month. You'll get the larger ones too, but don't turn down the small ones. I've seen agents who wouldn't offer anything lower than an $80 a month policy, which to me is crazy. Make sure you're helping everybody. This business ultimately is about activity, not the size of the policies. The more lives you can protect with coverage, the better off your clients are going to be. So make sure to serve your clients to the best of their ability to afford it. And you're going to find that you're going to help more people and take care of more families because of that. Number 7 on the business is kind of talking to kind of some business elements when we talk about our IMO partners. Usually all of us have a relationship with an IMO we have our contracts with or an agency with. So it's as important it is to manage the sales process, it's also important to manage expectation with the IMO. And truly, I can tell you this, dealing with lots of different IMOs out there, the number one currency in dealing with IMOs is trust. You need to make sure the IMO or the agency you're with has your back, that you can trust them entirely. That is a hard-pressed issue with most IMOs out there. Because the truth is of the matter is that the IMO controls your ability to receive advancing. It controls your ability to be appointed. The upline you work with can and control your release. And if you're with an IMO that doesn't do this or that you don't trust, you're in trouble. And you don't want to have your business held hostage because you don't trust the guy that you're with. Again, just got off the phone with a guy who writes a ton of business. The number one thing he cares about is trust and culture. And that's what is a commonality amongst top producers. Yeah, commission matters, yeah, leads matter, but more often than not, the relationship potential and how the level of transparency and honesty is really the determining factor in doing business with IMOs. So make sure that you represent that as an agent to your IMO, because that is going to yield long-term business opportunities and good relationships that you need to be successful. Number 8 on the list here, it's a small world at the top. People don't forget. Again, this is what I've discovered in this business, is you are creating a character for yourself as you're out there in the business. The first step, of course, is to write business, to make sales, to take care of yourself. But what you don't want to run into is having an identity of somebody who bounces around between IMOs or who has an identity of screwing IMOs over because of chargeback roll-ups, etc., or just being an overall hassle. Don't create that kind of image based off of your deliberate actions. Again, this is a small world. You may come to the point where you want to build an agency and grow it And one of the biggest opportunities over the next 5 to 10 years is the amount of businesses and private capital that's coming in and buying out agencies for huge multiples. And if you've developed a relationship of being, a jerk, you may lose out on opportunities for people to do business with you because there's enormous opportunities out there. And maybe people don't want to deal with your BS if you're known to have a level of BS associated with you. So for me, I've always wanted to make friends, even with the competition, and that has proven to be a smart move because, look, it's small at the top. So don't let your own ego get in the way. Don't let bad decisions that you've had to make get in the way. Everybody kind of knows each other at the top. So make sure that you have a great reputation. It comes to serve you back exponentially as time progresses. And that goes into number 9, of course. Don't burn bridges. Look, sometimes we have to make moves. We want to move IMOs to another. We have to end relationships. Have a conversation with the person. Actually tell them why you need to move, why it's not working. Be that kind of honest, transparent person back, even if it's hard and difficult. Again, we don't know what the future brings. You may go back to work with these people. So throwing them under the bus may be throwing yourself under the bus. Number 10, generally speaking, if you're entrepreneurially motivated and you're truly an entrepreneur, hard worker, self-sufficient, it's likely that being independent is going to be better than being a captive final expense agent. Again, there are plenty of successful final expense captive agents, plenty of successful final expense captive agencies. But the truth is that at the end of the day, man, if you're entrepreneurial, you're a hustler, you don't mind working your butt off, being independent is the way to go. The commission levels are higher, the leads are equivalently good, if not better, and you have access to multiple carriers, which leads to itself more sales at higher commissions and better persistency. So again, if you are on the like side, point 11, well, that's I guess extension to 10. If you're more of an employee mindset, go captive. If you need somebody to micromanage you, captive is probably going to be better. But again, if you're truly an entrepreneurial person, independence will outstrip what you can do in a captive organization. Number 11, buying leads is better than free leads. So again, this is another thing. There are free lead programs. We have them at the Ford Insurance Group for starting final expense career agents. But it is not something I recommend long term because in order to get those leads, the IMO has to pay for them. And they're going to make sure that they pay you low enough that even if you don't sell, that their losses aren't going to be that substantial. So if you do a financial analysis, buying your own leads at reasonably good contracts is almost always a better outcome in commissions up front and residual income on the back end versus a free lead program. So if you've got the capability, get started with paid leads that you buy yourself as soon as possible. If you have to start in a free lead program, get off of those as quickly as possible. That's why we have an 8-week fast track start program, because we want our agents to pay for their own leads because it leads to them making more money. Number 12 on the list here, again, final expense is a boring old business. Nothing has really changed. I've been through the Great Recession in final expense. I've been through, 3 administrations federally. We've been through COVID that shut down a lot of face-to-face operations. We're looking at the reality of inflation increasing, the risks of AI that's come on recently, and nothing has really changed. Final expense is pretty much the same as it was when I started in 2011 and probably same when I was born in 1984. It's all about getting out there on the phone or in person, seeing or talking to people, helping them with coverage and showing them how your option is going to solve their problem. It's always going to be about that, guys, and that's a comforting thing. You don't have in the final expense business, I think, the existential risks as often as you did in, say, car sales, where a lot of that business has moved offline and now is moved online, and a lot of people aren't getting inventory anymore, and that business model has changed dramatically. Ours hasn't, except for a short period where COVID kind of shut things down face-to-face. People are back selling face-to-face a couple months after COVID started. The moral of the story is, by joining final expense, don't come in here thinking, oh, I'm going to reinvent the wheel. Follow a system that's been proven to work, because we have a track record of the fundamentally working. And the bonus point here, last thing, very important here, while more competition is out there for sure, the growth in the insurance space has increased tremendously. The average age has probably dropped, I think, from about 60 years old 6 years ago to about 45, because there's so many young people now coming in, which is great. The 60-year-olds are getting ready for retirement. The young blood's coming in, so that's good. But while there's more competition, hardworking, service-oriented agents always win in the long run. So the point is this: serve your clients right. Take care of them for real, not just in word, but in action. Be oriented on being a provider of good service for your clients. And the thing is most agents won't. They're out to make a quick buck. They don't want to do the necessary work or deal with the headaches of the business. But if you get in and embrace the suck and the things that most people don't want to embrace, and you consistently execute it, there it is again from where we first started, over time, you're going to find that the competition fails out and goes away, and you're the last man or woman standing, helping good people with the coverage they need. So I hope you enjoyed this insight to the final expense business and what I've learned over the last 12 years. If you'd like to, again, explore what we have to offer in the final expense space, we have the best training program that's out there, one-on-one mentorship, access to great quality leads, great commission levels, and more, and our Make Money Guarantee. In fact, go to daviddufour.com/FAQ to learn more, and thanks for watching.